Welcome back to Building Dreams with Virtue Homes. I'm your host, Kristen, and joining me in the studio today, we have Aussie Home Loans broker, Peter Fava.
Hi, Kristen. Thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you so much for joining us.
No.
Pete, are you able to tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do at Aussie?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm coming on 25 years with Aussie as a mortgage broker, and fantastic company to be part of or associated with, and basically help many people with their home loan needs.
Yeah, wonderful. So do you focus mainly in the Gippsland area?
Correct. So all my clients are self-sourced, so they can predominantly be within the Gippsland region, but of course we do, home loans wherever they want. Melbourne, Queensland, New South Wales. So
you branch interstate as well?
Correct,
Right.
exactly. So we can cover across Australia actually. So
that's handy.
it is.
So any Victorian expats who move interstate, they can still take you away with them as their broker.
Right. So, I mean, now the beauty about, I suppose, mortgage broking is that technology's there. We can do Teams meetings, which is like your face-to-face.
You don't have to come into an office.
Exactly right. So, so that works well. So I've got many clients over many, many years sort of reach out, and any purchase or any top-up loan or anything they want to know, they just reach out and, happy to assist.
Wonderful. And on the topic of purchasing loans or, refinancing or anything like that, what is it specifically that you do and that you facilitate for your clients?
Correct. So good question. So as a mortgage broker, we deal with multiple lenders, predominantly, under the Aussie portfolio. So the way I like to put it across is that if someone walks into a bank and perhaps for whatever reason, credit policy or whatever, that bank cannot help them, a lot of people get discouraged, thinking, that may be the same for every lender. However, it's not. The difference involving a mortgage broker is that credit policy between the lenders determine where a client best fits, right?
Right.
In terms of interest rate, everybody wants your business, right? The interest rates very much predominantly are on par.
Yeah.
But what determines is credit policy most of the time. For argument's sake, in the Gippsland region, we're involved with many people that work casually as part of the power stations.
Right.
Right. Now, that casual employment could be 2 months casual here, another 2 months casual here with this employer. So they've got consistent income, but perhaps may not be with the same employer for a period of, things. So we've got lenders who will be able to, providing everything else as well, enable that credit policy to have that loan approved.
Right.
Whereas other lenders, you'll have to be there for one employer casually for 12-month period. So, if someone's sort of multiple employers, it's just not going to fit that lender.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty about what we do, is that we're able to, just source the right product with the right lender. To get a good outcome.
You're able to match the client with the lender.
So, exactly. So, and look, many clients perhaps don't fit into a home loan or be able to purchase today. But, when we have a meeting in terms of conversation, we'll put them on the track to say, okay, well, look, perhaps not this fit now. However, do this, this and this.
Here are the steps to achieve
exactly
it.
Right. Exactly right. So there's just, so many facets to this job, but it's always good outcome when you get the right result for the client. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so then what is the process? Clients reach out to you, you have a meeting, they tell you their circumstances and their goals.
Right. Exactly right. So, people ring up and say, okay, Pete, I've been referred to you. My friends purchased their home or whatever. They said, it's a great service. They said, what do we need to bring? So, look, as long as you bring some income details, but always at the first meeting, just sit down, just see what you want to achieve, what you want to do, and that always works well. And, if I think, well, look, okay, yes, there's opportunity to be able to do what you want to do, then we'll go to the next step, perhaps a pre-approval in place or, whether they're looking at land or construction. So, yeah, it always starts from the first meeting. So,
Yeah, right. It sounds very similar to what we do at Virtue with our
yes.
clients, and that initial process is just understanding their goals and hearing their
Correct.
story.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. And that's where, that's where it all starts. Exactly. And every scenario is so different. You think you've come across it all, but there's just so many different scenarios. And also when, sitting down with the client, perhaps whether or not they haven't got any savings in place, but we've done many loans where their parents have become security guarantors to allow them to be able to use some equity in their property to allow them to be able to purchase land, to be able to construct the building, that they'd like to move in. So there's so many different areas there that we can look at or help assist them. So
Yeah, there are options available.
correct, yes.
That's very exciting. And are you based in Traralgon, or where are you located?
So I am based in Traralgon. So there's two of us. So there is an Aussie franchise in Traralgon, which I'm not part of, but I choose to work out of a serviced office in Traralgon. So not branded as Aussie, but I choose to work out of there. And
Right, so you're Traralgon local.
I am Traralgon local, correct. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yep.
And Traralgon being almost the unofficial capital of Gippsland, and Gippsland being Victoria's rural side, rural piece, do you see a lot of home loan applications for residential builds in rural areas?
Correct. Yeah. Look, you've only just got to drive around. You only got to drive around.
Pretty obvious.
Exactly right. Look, the subdivisions, the building that's going on, and it all just seems to be positive. So I think where you've got a lot of building construction, everything, I think all the income or all the jobs are all stemmed from that construction industry. Where you got the car yards sell cars from it, your tiles, your floor coverings. So it's a great industry, but also Traralgon's a huge growth area. So,
massive
exactly.
growth.
So you can definitely be considered as a major regional centre of Victoria.
Yeah, it really is quite the hub of Gippsland here. But that does mean that the bigger that Traralgon gets, the more some people are looking to expand to the outer areas, build on property.
Correct, exactly.
Is there a difference between a home loan for a home in a suburban area versus a rural block?
Okay, yep. So in terms of the home loan itself, it's the same. It's the criteria.
Right.
Okay, so the criteria meaning that some lenders do get I suppose, not within their credit policy. Once a certain area reaches, whether it's 25 acres or whatever, they're out of that space for construction, right?
Right.
And also depending on the zoning. So it could
zoning.
be rural residential, it could be rural, or it could be actual farming. So that is a major, I suppose, a red flag for some lenders, right? If it's farming, it might only be 2 acres or 3 acres, but a lot of them are focused on that particular zone, right? Yes. However, the good thing is that we have got lenders that don't, I suppose, concentrate so much on the zoning, but on the purpose. So if it's if it's up to 50 hectares of land, you can actually build a residential dwelling at a residential home loan for that property.
Right. Even if
right.
it's zoned farming?
Correct.
Right.
Exactly. Not all, but
Yeah.
the beauty about being a broker is that you do have a panel of lenders that we can work with. and
You
we can
know that
workshop. Exactly
Joe
right.
from
Exactly.
so and so
Yes.
will lend
Correct.
that. Right.
Exactly right.
I
So
did not know that.
So that's so that we've certainly been able to win a lot of sort of deals that way. Also, we're starting to get into a situation where we can, see that some people want to be off grid or whatever.
Yes.
In terms of that, there.
Yes, definitely.
Correct. So that once again, that is not an issue with some lenders, providing that they've got the relevant permits in place to be able to allow that, right? So, so we can get a home loan approved, but no funding is going to be released to the builder without the necessary permits in place, right? Yes. So if the council has approved a dwelling to be built on the basis that they want to go off grid in terms of power or
water tanks
or whatever,
or,
providing that it's acceptable and it's in the permits that allow that, that's fine.
Right.
Not all lenders,
yeah.
but we have lenders on the panel there that's not an issue whatsoever. So.
That seems to be the takeaway from this discussion. It's not all lenders.
Correct.
There
exactly
are some,
right.
and
Exactly.
That's why you engage a broker.
Look, it's just so important.
Back.
It's so important because we know where to place the applications, right? We know who's got the credit policy that allows that to take place. So
right. So when you're initially speaking with clients and they're telling you, oh, we'd like to build our off-grid ranch style home in this area, you in the back of your mind
correct.
You're going, I know the lender for
exactly
you.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah. So and look, along with that, then obviously we have our we call LVR or loan to value restrictions. So in terms of, if someone has a 20% deposit to allow this sort of thing, the better, right? But anything under the 20%, especially when you're starting to get into large acreage or whatever, that does become a little bit difficult, right, in terms of that there, because they get their loans insured by a mortgage insurer. So the mortgage insurer determines what will allow and will not allow, basically.
Right.
Correct. Yes. So up to an 80% lend, the lender can sign off on their own. It doesn't have to go to a third party for mortgage insurance.
Risk for
exactly
them.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're dreaming of building a rural property,
yes,
have ideally that 20% tucked
Look,
away?
When you start to get into the larger sort of parcels of land, that's definitely
right.
a requirement.
The 50 to 100 acres plus.
Well,
if we're looking
correct.
At 3?
Yeah, look, that's fine. Quite often we can go up to your 90-95%. Right, in terms of that there, correct. But once you're starting to get up to the 50 hectares, they'll pull back and say, look, we prefer this at the 80% lend with no LMI. There can be exceptions always, but it's just case by case sometimes. So
that makes sense. Oh, good. I think a lot of we're seeing a huge boom at virtue of people who are obviously building rural. That's always been a thing, but building off-grid, building on larger parcels of land than what you find in the suburbs, but still well under that 10 acres.
Yeah, and so which is fine. Which is fine.
That's serviceable.
Exactly right. Yes, yes. And look, once again, it can be a bit complicated. However, once again, with some lenders, it does fall within what postcode does that sit in, right?
Right.
Exactly. So, is it 3844, whatever? So I've done parcels of land where you know, up past Dargo and all that, sort
Oh,
of thing,
yes.
80 acres, where some lenders, will not sort of do a residential loan there. They might do an agri loan, whether it's for a farming or whatever operation, but not a standard residential loan. So I've been able to get them through some lenders. So it's
Right.
just, there's so many different sort of factors that come into play.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I had no idea about the loaning capabilities for different zones. I always
Yes.
just sort of assumed
Yeah.
if a property was zoned farming, it could only be used for farming.
Well, it used to be the case,
Right.
but look, some lenders have come out and said, well, look, at the end of the day, I mean, if it's 3 acres, 4 acres, if it's zoned
Who's
farming,
farming on that?
if someone's going to put a house on there to live in it themselves as owner-occupied, or it might be a little bit larger, but perhaps it's not income producing. So, we've got a job, we work here, we're not making money off the farm and all that. So, they're open to that sort of.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's an exciting
it
change.
is. It's good. It's good. So, but it just it makes it better outcome for the client. So
Yeah, it opens up more doors. I
it does.
imagine.
It does.
That's very exciting to hear, especially with people wanting to make that move out to
Correct.
more open skies.
Correct. Yes.
Is it, I don't want to say harder to find a lender for those who are wanting to build off-grid versus in an estate or a suburban area?
Yeah. Look, I think there's been a big shift in that thought process now too, with work off grid. Now I think more than ever now we've got the right, I suppose, systems to allow that to happen. Whereas perhaps 10 years ago or 15 years ago, there wasn't that sort of, power off grid as such. But so a lot of that now does come into play, right? I haven't done a lot of it. I have done some of it, but it's good to know that you can assist those clients in those situations.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like things are ever evolving in that space.
Correct. It's always changing.
Everything
changes.
How hard is it for you to keep your finger on the pulse and stay up to date with lenders and what they
that's
offer?
well, great, especially when you're dealing with over 20 lenders. So you do want to be across all the changes. Fortunately, being part of Aussie, we have a daily catch up or log into Teams. So brokers all around Victoria, Australia that are involved with Aussie, and we sort of I suppose workshop scenarios. So we put it out there, and the chances are that another broker in the meeting has done that scenario and say, okay, well look, CBA for this deal or NAB will work for this one. So we're very good that we've got that up to date sort of thing with all those scenarios.
So are you able to almost put the call out and
Correct.
say, I've got this tricky.
Correct, exactly.
Oh, so there is that help available to you.
Exactly. And on that there's BDMs, and so sometimes fortunately we're able to get assessors on there as well so that we can workshop. So it's a really great system, and it's a good initiative from Aussie to do that. It just it could save hours just if you had to do it yourself in terms of following up for the different lenders. So
yeah, that's wonderful
to
know that you have that network.
Look, it's great. We've got the network, exactly. That's the right word.
It works for the client.
It does. So, and it's all about, ultimately it's all about the outcome for the client.
Yeah.
Trying making sure that goal. Everybody wants their dream home. Yes. That's I think that's everybody's dream. So it's good that you do your best to be able to sort of see that if that can happen. So
Yeah, absolutely. And on that, everyone wanting their dream home,
Mm-hmm.
of course, that is the case. Some people just want a home
Yes.
and to get out of the renting cycle.
Correct.
Are you seeing any shifts, any trends for 2026
Yeah, look,
in that space?
yes, good question. At the moment, as a first home buyer, there's no better time than now to get into the market.
Right.
And I say that with the government have introduced the home buyer guarantee scheme, where providing they qualify in terms of you can purchase a property with the 5% deposit.
Right.
Regionally it's about up to about 650,000. So
Right.
so you've got your 5% deposit, and the benefit of that is that 5% deposit, there's no lender's mortgage insurance attached. So it's the government guarantee the 15%.
Wonderful.
So that's saving of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
And they also get the interest rate as if they had the 20%. So they get it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's an extra bonus. So at 650 in Victoria regionally, yes, there is still a little bit of stamp duty payable, but they can get into a home quite easy. Well, providing you've got the deposit, that's always the hardest part, because the
Provided
struggle.
you've been able to.
Well, the struggle
save.
is that people are renting. They can make the repayments, but they can't perhaps rent and save at the same time.
It is increasingly
Yeah.
difficult.
So that's difficult, but at least there, I've had many clients where, we've had the discussion, and I think perhaps I haven't been able to help them that day, but I always say, well, look, this is a situation. When you walk out of this office today, you'll be in a better understanding of knowing, what you need to do, what you want to do. So a lot of them walk out very motivated, say, okay, I haven't got that deposit. Or they may call in on family to provide some deposit, etc. So they're always the good ones where, you can see that journey come through to their home ownership. So
yeah, that would be very, very rewarding, I think, to see that come to fruition.
it is.
Oh, absolutely. And so even if you're not able to get some paperwork rolling or get, pre-approval organised that time, at least they're walking out educated. They know what they need to do.
And, many clients, I might see them in 6 months' time or 12 months' time, sort of have absolutely done that, because ultimately it's how motivated they are.
Yeah.
Because we all earn money, and we've all got 1,000 needs, or wants more so, sort of thing. But if they've got something motivated to say, well, look, I'm going to start saving, I want to get my home.
Yeah.
This is the time frame I want to get it.
Yeah.
Then that's great.
That's exciting. I think for some people, and myself included, we just need to know what the options are and hear the figures.
Correct.
Like if you save X amount per week for X amount of time,
Correct.
you will have X amount for your deposit.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's all I need is just to actually see it written out.
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh, I can do that. Yeah.
Correct.
I'll cancel Stan and I'll
well that's the thing, exactly. And I think some people walk in and say, well, look, I've got 2,000 or 3,000, and it's just good to see that journey that they'll come back in 6 months' time and say, you know what, I'm at 18,000 or whatever. So so they've got that goal, and I think that's what some people need, just to say, for them to hear, yes, it's possible. You do this, this, and this. Then it gives you that chance to be able to qualify for that home.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's wonderful. I think it's all about destigmatizing going for a home loan. It can be so scary and so stressful.
Correct.
And some people just don't even want to talk to a broker.
Exactly.
And have their dreams crushed.
Look, exactly. And, you can't help everyone, right, as much as you want to. But at the very least, when they walk out of that meeting, they know exactly what the situation is, right? They know, okay, well, look, perhaps I may not qualify now, or, could be a seed that's planted, say, you know what, I haven't got any deposit. My parents have offered give some money,
Guarantorship or a
or
gift or
security
something.
guarantor,
Yeah.
using equity in their home, which is becoming more and more, I suppose, common.
Yep.
And so, thing is, if you don't know the question, you don't know the answer. That's the thing. So,
But absolutely. Yeah. Well, my husband and I bought our home in Warragul, and we bought it with my parents going guarantor
Yes,
for us.
fantastic.
That wound up being the best option for us at the
Yes.
time. And my tip to everybody is, if you want to go down that path, what I did is I sat my parents down and I presented them with some figures. In this amount of time, we will be able to take you off the loan as a guarantor, and this is what it means for you. And
Correct.
they were able,
Exactly.
I think my parents would have said yes anyway, to be honest, but
Well,
I
look,
felt like I needed to present that case.
Yeah, exactly.
And some people may need to, their parents might hear, can you go guarantor for me, mum and dad? And they might go, is our house at risk? What's that going to happen?
Yeah.
Presenting that, and I had no idea that was an option until I spoke to a broker.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
That you guys are the reason that we have a roof over our heads.
Well, that's the, that I think from a guarantor's point of view, they need to know what's involved. People say, okay, look, are we going to lose our home if they're so?
Are we at risk?
Exactly.
Helping you, Junior.
Correct. Exactly. So many parents know what their kids are like.
Yeah.
So I have had the appointments where the guarantor said, look, yeah, I like that. I'll do it for this child, not that child. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I know what he or she is like, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but it's a limited guarantee, so they're guaranteeing the 20% portion.
Yes.
Right. So they're not guaranteeing the total home loan.
Exactly.
And
important to know.
Exactly. Yeah. And look, I've done many of them, and especially the way the property prices have been increasing. Mm-hmm. Yes, they perhaps might have started off with a 30-year guarantee against the parent's property, but many of them have been removed, right, from their property. So exactly right, yeah. Exactly. So
it all works out.
Exactly. So that has been, I suppose, like yourself, a great opportunity to get into the housing market. Option. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. On the flip side, my my middle brother has recently, end of last year, purchased a property.
Yes.
They went the other route. They actually lived on my parents' property for 2 years, saved up a bunch, and then that's how they were able to get their 20%.
Yes.
There are options if you're willing to live with your parents and in-laws.
It's all about
sacrifices.
Exactly. And it's all about how, the motivation is really determines, the thing. I do see some more motivated than others, right? But for many that say, look, I really want to, break that rent cycle, or I do want to move out or whatever. I want my own home.
Family,
exactly.
But I don't want to be renting.
And, the great thing is that when you work it through and you make that call to them to say, look, great news, it's all been approved. It's just,
ecstatic
exactly.
Joy.
They're just so excited.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So your piece of advice would be, if say, for example, I'm a first home buyer and I have my 5% saved and ready to go, and perhaps I've been thinking, I should wait, I should time the market. You're saying now is the time?
Look, once again, as long as that situation allows for them to in terms of
case
affordability, etc. Yeah. But I think, doing this for over 25 years, it just seems to be that, and I look back for the people who have purchased, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the prices of houses always just seems to be going up and up and up. So
there's no timing the market. It's not going to.
And,
I hope not.
no, well,
once you own a home, you're like, I hope that they don't.
well, I think also with the huge shortage of housing that we have got, I don't think they're going to be coming down, right? But I'm no
You don't
expert.
have a
I'm no
crystal
thing there.
unfortunately.
But quite often I think it's if someone can get into their own home and it's affordable for them and it meets all their needs, especially with the government guarantee at the moment that's in place, it's just a great way of getting into the market.
Yeah, now's as good a time as any.
Exactly, yeah. So first home buyers in that sweet spot of 600, 650, they are competing at the moment with investors coming into the market. So and especially I think in the Valley, Traralgon, Moolamoe, there's many investors from all over Australia buying in through buyers advocates. So sight unseen. So, so yes, so
It's
there's a bit of so there's a lot of competition out there.
On that, it is very competitive to buy established houses at the moment. Exactly.
Yes,
There are a lot of investors. What is the difference between applying for a loan for an established home versus a loan for building as your first home?
Yep. Okay. So good question, right? The process is very similar in the sense that, whether if someone's got their land already, then it's a lot easier process, right? Because they've got the land and they're providing they've got the deposits, etc. They've got the time to, come to Virtue to have a look in terms of their build contract, etc., and go from there. If they're looking at house and land, then that becomes a bit more complicated, right? Is the land title, right? Is it available, right?
Yeah.
Exactly, because quite often, if you want to get a full approval, you need to have the land contract as well as the building contract.
Right. You need to have both. It
You
can't
need to
just
have
be
both.
for a mystery block somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can have a pre-approval in place, right? So it just depends on the time frame because as you're probably well aware, to facilitate, your plans, your building contract, etc., to build a dwelling, that might take quite a few weeks in place. So the vendor of the land, are they willing to wait that time frame to allow the purchaser to do that process? So it's just possible, but just a bit more complicated, right? So it really does depend on the situation of the vendor with the land. Is it titled? Are they willing to wait that time frame? Do they just want to sell it? And so
right, versus buying established, the house is there, the
correct,
land is there.
Exactly.
Right. So there just may be some other steps involved.
So, but if once again, depending on if their situation in terms of income and deposit, so they can perhaps secure the land purchase, at the same time put in a pre-approval for a construction of, the construction's going to be 650 or something like that. So they that's about the best they can do in that situation.
Right.
So once they settle on the land, once they get all the building contract plan specifications, then we can convert to a full application.
Right. Yeah. So there are always things you can do.
Look, there are exactly. So there's that many different scenarios or situations that we work with. So
and are the options for lenders for first-time builders versus first-time buyers, are there fewer, more, about the same?
Look, that process is virtually the same, right? In
Right.
terms of that there. So ultimately at the end, the lender wants to know, okay, what's the land value? What's the build value? They'll get it as, we'll, if there's building contract in place, we will send that off to the valuer to see what that value's up as. And then we can work backwards and say, okay, well, what deposit do you have? What's the borrow capacity? Can we make it work? So that's,
It's very similar.
Correct.
And do you know if the government incentives or lender incentives are much the same or?
Yeah, but so in terms of pretty much the first home buyers is your $10,000 build, right? But you do get stamp duty waiver if they're eligible off the land purchase as well. So so the incentive there for the first home buyers, generally the government incentives, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily the lender incentive sort of thing, but lenders, as long as the lender has the policy that, because not all lenders do land loans, construction loans. So as long as, that sort of fits with that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think even just a few years ago, it was the most common route was to buy established as a first home buyer. But being that there is a shortage of established homes, we've found that building is becoming more common.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the same trend?
Look, I am, in terms of, you do get the first home buyers that want new, we've got our deposit, we can do this, and this is where we want to be, and this is what we want to build. So it's just it's that many different sort of
many different clients.
Exactly,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that when you've only got to drive around Traralgon, Moe, that subdivisions are happening. That you can see the
there are new
earthworks.
estates popping up
they are just
everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
it's the same in Bawbor where I am.
Correct.
Pockets
correct.
of land everywhere.
So,
But that's also we're finding, especially here at Virtue, being specialising in rural builds, and we obviously do suburban builds as well, but specialising in rural, we're finding a lot of people, because the towns are expanding and getting busier and there are more subdivisions going in, people are looking to make that move now out a little bit further.
Correct.
And those are the second or third time home owners.
Correct, exactly.
The parents.
Yes.
And I guess that's exciting. The more of those kinds of people in those scenarios, perhaps empty nesters that move out, the more established homes get free up.
Exactly.
And
correct. Exactly.
And then we can move in.
Look, exactly. And definitely. So that's a huge market. Huge market. So
wonderful. Well, Peter, do you have any closing remarks, any pointers that you'd like to give to the listeners?
Yeah, look, I think that if someone is thinking of getting into the market or wants to talk to a mortgage broker, they're more than welcome to give me a call.
Yeah, of course.
But importantly, I just can't sort of stress enough, it's better knowing exactly, what you need to do or work with or qualify to be able to move in, right? Many people think, it's whether it's too hard or I didn't want to call you, Pete, because I mightn't be a candidate.
You didn't want to waste your time.
Exactly. But guaranteed, after that meeting, they know exactly where they stand, what they need to do. Many of them just, walk out happy in the sense of, look, we're there or we're nearly there. So that would be the, that'd be the takeaway, definitely.
Yeah,
so,
knowledge is power.
Look, it is, and at least, there's some really good incentives available.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You made it so easy, talking. So I thought thanks for having me, and
Happy days.
Great to be part of the Virtue podcast.